is the state of your nervous system? Is it in that pedal to the metal, that constant go, 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 go? Or are we in rest and digest? And how to return to that balanced state? Watch and learn. Okay, so we're going to, another one of our team trainings here, we're going to talk about heart rate variability and why it's important and why we track it in the office and how we can help very simply understand the broad concept of heart rate variability for ourselves but also for patients. So heart rate variability. Variability is the key. So variability means differences. So the two options with heart rate variability is it being adaptable. That means variable. That means the time between the heartbeats is one short, one long, one shorter, one long. Like it's different milliseconds in between. And we're talking very small changes, but it's different, right? It's not the opposite of variable is fixed or is static or in stasis. So that means that there's very little. So if this was adaptable, I've tried to show it that okay, there's big, there's small, there's big, there's small, there's differences. This would be very fixed or static. It can be a high level or it can be a low level, but it's always the same. So that is that person is very not adaptable. It's grinding against itself. So really what heart rate variability measures is how stressed out the nervous system that runs the entire body, the autonomic nervous system is. We can see patients that are super cool, calm, and collective on the outside that have a tanked HRV. So it's not we can interpret or extrapolate, okay, well that patient is, they seem not stressed or they say they're not stressed on the outside. It's really what that inside shows us. So it is not something you can fool. You can absolutely do things to train to get it better, but so the goal of our nervous system is we have so much stuff coming at us. So we have 2,000 bytes of information in our environment coming at us in a minute through the senses. 2,000 bytes of information. So our nervous system takes all that information from the environment coming at us. It's at a breakneck speed. And the body adapts. And we know that that's a key word in understanding the goal of chiropractic. And the beautiful thing about chiropractic is that the nervous system is always taking all this barrage of information, doing something with it, adapting to it to bring the body to an easeful state or a state of ease, homeostasis. So you can imagine that that's a huge job that the nervous system is always doing. It's like if you're walking on a bed of rocks and you put your foot down and you're either going to fall one way or the other way or stable. Well, your body has to take a lot of information just to keep us walking forward on that bed of rocks, right? So that's a very simplistic understanding of what the nervous system has to do on a grander scale. Think immune, digestive, reproductive system, heart, lungs. It's just amazing. Okay, so we look at the balance, and we've talked about this before, but there's two parts of that nervous system. There's the sympathetic, and this is that fight or flight, where the body is not adapting. It's not learning. It's stuck in that pedal is to the metal. And what I mean by that is that the flush of cortisol is there all the time. Cortisol is negative Nancy. In terms of healing short terms, it will absolutely save your life. But it's, in long terms, it changes physiology, it changes hormones, changes sleep, immune, digestive, reproductive, turns off all of that because the body thinks, everywhere I go in my life is stress. There's lions and tigers and bears everywhere. So that cortisol says I am literally just trying to survive. I'm not in a thrival mode. So this is pedal to the metal. Now you have to balance that with what's called parasympathetic, and that's the rest, digest, the healing, the growth. If the sympathetic is the gas, parasympathetic is the brake. That's that reorganization, where the body can take all of this wonderful information coming at us and use it for good. use it to repair, use it to reorganize. Here in sympathetic, there is no extra energy because it's all gone to fight off the bear. Whether there is a bear or not, the body thinks there's a bear. So in sympathetic, if those sympathetics are going, you're grinding your gears, you have a low heart rate variability, you're just holding that head up, trying to get to the next meal so you are not the next meal, right? And we know people like that in our office. When you do a heart rate variability on this, let's say stressy Susan person, but they can be not stressed on the outside. So I'm thinking of some people who are, I'm not stressed out, but they tank on their HRV. And we use HeartMath. There is different, you can use CLA, you can use our HeartMath. So their tank would be so empty. When I've kind of drawn a tank here, just think there's no gas in the tank. There's no water in the tank. It's right, you are done. There is no extra, zero reserve. So the lowest point of priority means that the body is just thinking of mechanics, of trying to walk one foot in front of the other, not giving life or giving extra energy to all of the wonderful life-giving things because it's stuck in that fight or flight. So it is so out of balance. It's lost its adaptability. It is literally grinding the gears, just trying to get one foot in front of the other. Really, when you have very little reserve, this opens up vulnerability. So this is where we see patients say, but I did nothing. I was relaxing on a beach in Mexico. I was picking up a piece of paper. I was going to the store. I wasn't doing anything. Now maybe this person had taken a break in care or missed appointments or not doing their self-care, and their tank, when your tank is low and something happens, you're thrown over the precipice, but you're just hanging on, right? So if you have a low tank and something benign that in a different situation you could handle, but now you can't handle because it's just that one thing. And it could be drop your keys, lost $10, they got your thing wrong at Tim Hortons, I don't know what it is, but it's just that one thing that throws us over. Okay, so this is the reserve of a person who is stuck or dominant in the sympathetics, total out of balance. When you have, so 80-20 is 20% of our day should be in sympathetic. That is, get into stress, but get out. Get in, get out, get in, get out. If you stay in sympathetics, what happens is you burn out your adrenals because the cortisol comes from your adrenals. If it is pushing all the time, it gets burned out and it can't adapt and there's no response. Then what happens is you just end up pushing through and health concerns happen because you've opened yourself up. There's just tremendous vulnerability. It could be chronic sickness. It could be this back pain came out of nowhere. It's really not about the back pain, which we've learned, right? It's about how adaptable is the system. Okay? So let's go to parasympathetic. We got full reserve. Think you are a full tank. Here you're like your engine light is on and your gas tank light is on. And it's interesting that this is I know exactly. If it says 90 kilometers, I've got I never run out of gas in my car, but David will laugh at that. But so here, full tank, full reserve. You can focus on the greater evolutionary things. So that means the body has extra energy to spare. So this is when we see postural changes in people. Somebody who comes in, their head is forward, rolled in shoulders. The body is very inefficient because it's just trying to fight against gravity. Whew, come on. So as we see changes in posture under chiropractic care, that head, we're not really focused on what the head angle and the head forward. We're focused on what the body can do now, because before it was very inefficient in bleeding. I use that term, bleeding energy, and just holding us against gravity. Now it doesn't have to worry about that mechanics. Oh, and we wonder why people sleep better. We wonder why people's immune system gets better. We wonder why, right? Because they have way more way more reserves now. So this opens up people to, maybe if your sympathetics are going crazy, it opens up people to chronic disease, opens up people to just immune challenges later on. So we wonder why people who are burning out their adrenals for years and years and years get sick. It's not the sickness that needs addressing, it's coming back to here, right? So a lot of people we see or tend to see are already really sick, right? It's not the back pain that brings them in. When we see low HRV, they're really sick. They just don't know it yet. And it's not like, we're telling you you're sick and you just want to. Let's show you how your HRV has tanked and you're really not, you're not able to deal with life and handle life better. Good. So how do you build up your reserves? How do you build up your reserves? There's two ways. One, you can stimulate the parasympathetic, and that is what a chiropractic adjustment does. We tap into the vagal nerve. Vagal nerve is stimulating that parasympathetic through different points along the spine. The vagal nerve taps into. So you can stimulate, you can bring up that parasympathetic. That's the fastest way. The other way is doing it on your own, which is great self-care. So you can build up your reserves on your own through the yoga, through the deep breathing, which we focus on in our office, through meditation, through prayer, through yoga, through all of those things. Build up your reserves, or you can stimulate the heck out of that parasympathetic. Here is why it's important for patients to understand, well, I'm good, I'm going to stop my chiropractic care, I'm exercising now, right? That's wonderful, absolutely. You can build up your reserves on your own. There's absolutely another piece to the puzzle. So that's our training on HRV for today.